These are the times when contestants ruin dinner on Hell's Kitchen. To start things off, let's cover a service that was so bad that Chef Ramsay had to cook for the guests all by himself. In the 14th episode of Season 15, during the Black Jacket dinner service, two VIPs, Randy Couture and Neil Jackson, dined in. After receiving the first order, Jared Bobkin was confident about being at the fish station, but his scallops came out raw. Despite that, his refire was accepted. It was also the night when the final five acted as sous chefs, and Ariel Malone was the first to get called in. Ariel was communicating well enough, but Jared was slow in making the lobster tail. Finally, when he did manage to finish the dish, it came out raw, making it the first mistake that ticked off Chef Ramsay. Next, it was Ashley Nichols' turn to step in as a sous chef. Ashley was understandably nervous. I mean, being Chef Ramsay's sous chef is no joke. But there was no room for confusion on Hell's Kitchen. When Ashley called out for a ticket that wasn't even ready, Jared was confused. However, soon after that, Jared made another mistake. He screwed up Randy's order by burning the hell out of his snapper. Chef Ramsay was furious and had to send an incomplete order to Randy's table. Jared immediately returned to the fish station to correct his mistake. Chef Ramsay was highly disappointed since Jared just screwed up all over again. A flustered Chef Ramsay said,
"I cannot quite believe what I'm experiencing. It's wrong."
After two stupid mistakes, it was Jared's turn to step in as a sous chef, and he hoped to redeem himself after the terrible start. Soon after, Manda Palomino annoyed Chef Ramsay by not responding to his order of New York strip loin. And once she was ready, the steaks turned out to be blue. Manda continued to argue that the meat wasn't ready, but Ariel tried throwing her under the bus by saying that she wasn't loud enough. Palomino was the next contestant to be the sous chef, and she wanted to prove that she wasn't a mess. She was immediately vocal, however, when it came to plating, she was sluggish. Finally, when Kristen Barone stepped in as a sous chef, things took a turn for the worse. Kristen wanted to prove that she knew what she was doing, but sadly, she did awful. Yet again, Manda failed to communicate about her New York strip loin, so she ended up sending it out raw. Manda soon got to work on the refire and managed to send her dish out as soon as possible. So, did her second attempt impress Chef Ramsay? Sadly, her refire sent Chef Ramsay off the edge. Ramsay was so furious that he gathered all the contestants into the pantry room and gave them a final warning. He said this:
"It's undercooked. Hey, let me tell you something. Yeah, it's not gonna burn you. Hold it. I swear to God, when you walk through those doors, get a grip!"
Thankfully, Manda's third attempt worked like a charm and was immediately accepted. But when they were on their final ticket, the team was slowed down by Jared's raw char. Chef Ramsay was so infuriated that he made all the Black Jackets walk up to sous chef Christina and sous chef Aaron, who were also dining there that night. Wondering why? Well, it was to do this.
I apologize.
We're really sorry about our performance tonight.
And guess who ended up finishing the final ticket? Chef Ramsay himself. Needless to say, Chef Ramsay was extremely disappointed with how the service went. Each of the Black Jackets were ashamed when Chef Ramsay said the worst thing possible. He said this:
"That was one of the worst Black Jacket performances ever in the history of Hell's Kitchen."
That night, Jared was nominated for elimination. During his plea, he stated that he cared a lot about the competition and pointed out how he flourished since the beginning. But Chef Ramsay surprised everyone by calling Manda down. During her plea, Chef Ramsay reminded her about her poor performance that night. And when Manda admitted to her subpar performance, Chef Ramsay didn't see any reason to keep her on the show. But Manda wasn't the only one to be booted out that night. Chef Ramsay then asked Jared to hand over his Black Jacket and follow Manda right out the door. According to Chef Ramsay, Jared just didn't measure up to the other three chefs. If you thought that was disappointing, then this next service, where an entire team got themselves kicked out of the kitchen, threw Chef Ramsay into a fit of rage. It was the first dinner service of season 19, and Antonio Fargas and Eric Kilpatrick dined at Hell's Kitchen. Along with these guests, two VIPs also dined in. Wayne Brady and his family were to be served by the Blue Kitchen, while Lisa Vanderpump and her family by the Red Kitchen. Both kitchens got started with their first order. The Red team was under stress when their VIP started complaining about being very hungry. Under pressure, Nikki Hanna sent out raw lobster tail, which frustrated the hell out of Chef Ramsay. The entire dish was ruined thanks to Nikki's carelessness. Chef Ramsay was so pissed that he did this. Nikki took responsibility for her mistake by walking up to the VIP table and apologizing. Meanwhile, in the Blue Kitchen, Declan Horgan and Josh Oakley sent out their appetizers without any mistakes. 50 minutes into the dinner service, Nikki got her refire accepted. But as soon as the red team received their second order, she got confused by Chef Ramsay's call-out accent. Uncertain of what else to do, she sent up only one order of scallops when 2 were requested. Chef Ramsay looked like he was over and done with her. And to make things even worse, Nikki started to fret and cry over it. Chef Ramsay was frustrated by this whole display of emotion. He called the entire red team into the pantry and asked her a really critical question. He asked,
What's happened? And why are you crying? Are you done?
However, Chef Ramsay gave her another chance and asked the team to up their game. Somehow, the team managed to finish their appetizers and moved on to the entrees. Meanwhile, the blue team continued on with their service swiftly without any mistakes. But I might have said that a bit too early. Just when you thought everything was going well for them, they screwed up. When Drew Tingley and Peter Martinez walked up with their meat, Chef Ramsay noticed that the duck was overcooked. The famous chef, however, let it go since they were still in a better position than the red team. 90 minutes into the dinner service, Drew saw that Peter's duck was about to be overcooked and told him to refire the duck again. But in the midst of that, he forgot about the lamb that he had to work on. While Drew was fumbling to find the right words, a very annoyed Chef Ramsay said,
Lamb for the chef's table's not even in. It's for our chef's table. Wow. I'm getting pissed off now.
Well, it looks like things were gonna go poorly for the blue team from here on out. Soon after, Elliot Sanchez became unresponsive when Drew asked for a timing on the garnishes. Since he didn't respond, Chef Ramsay asked Elliot why he was just standing around like an idiot. The famous chef was already frustrated with the blue team, but when Drew walked up with his lamb refire, it came out raw. At this point, Chef Ramsay had enough with their mistakes. He picked up the raw chunk of rib, showed it to all the contestants, and in a fit of rage, did this.
I'm done. That's my food!
Mark Quinones and Adam Pollock took over the meat station and delivered a good dish. But when Cody Candelario's fries came out soft and soggy, Chef Ramsay kicked the rest of the blue team out of the kitchen. Finally, sous chef Jason was tasked with finishing the order. Back in the red kitchen, Amber Lancaster offered to help Mary Lou Davis, but she wanted to either redeem herself or take the blame. Despite everyone's concerns, Mary Lou's steak came out perfect and the red team was able to finish their service. Towards the end, Chef Ramsay was disappointed with both kitchens. But since the red team was able to finish the service, they were declared the winners. As for the blue team, Elliot and Drew were nominated for elimination. Since Elliot performed poorly and lacked collaborative skills, he was sent packing. But in this next service, one contestant almost set the entire station on fire. But do you know who else was on fire? Chef Ramsay. With only 3 members in the red kitchen left, everyone nervously got ready for the dinner service. Soon, both kitchens got started with their first order. In the blue kitchen, Chef Ramsay noticed that their pot of water wasn't boiling for the pasta. Much to Chef Ramsay's dismay, it was revealed that the fresh water had only been put in the pot 5 minutes ago. Meanwhile, in the red kitchen, the team sent out their first order of appetizers without any problems. And Chef Ramsay even praised Julia Williams for her scallops. But when the blue team's Brad Miller brought his risotto to the pass, Chef Ramsay realized that he made too much of it. If there was anything that Chef Ramsay had to say about the service, it was this.
It's not a good start, guys. Stop panicking.
Back in the red kitchen, communication was at its best and the team soon sent out their appetizers. On one side, the red team's diners were enjoying their food while the blue teams were left hungry. 1 hour into the service, the red kitchen managed to send out 28 appetizers and this made Chef Ramsay happy. However, Bonnie Muirhead's pan caught fire and she was uncertain of what to do next. While she was struggling to put the fire out, Chef Ramsay jumped to the rescue and lectured her about fire safety. It would be wise to listen to this carefully since it might just come in handy someday. Here's Chef Ramsay's tip on how to put out a pan that's on fire.
Wait, never walk around with a pan on fire, you stand back. That's the first thing. You stand back. No water, no stop, nothing.
Back in the blue kitchen, John Waller's mashed potatoes came out runny because they didn't have enough salt in them. And dejected, Chef Ramsay said,
Get some potatoes on you. Yes, chef. Oh, it's like a bunch of babies here.
Then Brad sent out another order of risotto that was overcooked. And Chef Ramsay literally chewed him out for it. Though he agreed with Ramsay, he felt that Melissa screwed him over by overcooking the rice earlier. An hour and a half into the service, the red team continued to push out their entrees. But then Julia got confused with the sea bass order and panicked. She didn't realize what was happening until Chef Ramsay reminded her that it was at her station. But when Julia still looked lost, Chef Ramsay got angry with her. In the blue kitchen, Melissa brought her monkfish to the pass, but it turned out to be overcooked. Things got so much worse when she revealed that she only had one monkfish left. This meant that none of the 6 orders of monkfish could be sent out. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe what was happening. He then moved Rock Harper to the fish station and asked Melissa to move to the garnish station. Soon after, Melissa revealed more bad news. She said that they were running out of mashed potatoes and no one knew where to find more. This only added another layer of stress to Chef Ramsay. And when Jean-Philippe brought back an entire table of 6 entrees for being overcooked, Chef Ramsay was starting to feel worse. Ramsay then sarcastically thanked Melissa, Brad, and Josh for their mistake and shut down both kitchens. After the dinner service, Chef Ramsay showed his disappointment to the blue team. This time, Chef Ramsay had made up his mind. Without a second thought, he eliminated Melissa for not improving despite being transferred to the blue team. But this next service was so disastrous that at the end of it, Chef Ramsay did something he's never done on Hell's Kitchen before. I've seen some really shocking eliminations happen on the show, but what Chef Ramsay did this time was unbelievable. However, do you know what else is unbelievable? That I pump out these amazing videos to you for free. There's a lot of effort that goes into these guys, so don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. With that out of the way, let's see how this service was doomed before it even started. In the 6th episode of Season 11, Chef Ramsay assigned Jessica Lewis and Barrett Beyer as waiters. This was to make them understand what servers go through when chefs make mistakes. Once the service took off, Jessica was confused, but she was able to take the first order. On the other hand, Barrett's slow start started to irritate Chef Ramsay. When Barrett finally delivered the Blue Kitchen's first ticket, it was so bad that Chef Ramsay ripped the ticket and asked him to rewrite it all over again. Meanwhile, Jessica finally walked in with the Red Kitchen's first ticket, but Chef Ramsay was annoyed that it took her so long. But once again, since Chef Ramsay couldn't make anything out from it, he did this.
Oh, Jessica, how long were you at school for?
6 months, Chef.
You only went to school for 6 months? Jesus
Chef.
Christ. Hurry up.
Barrett's second attempt was the same as well, but Jessica managed to have hers accepted. Although initially the team had a small communication gap, they still got their order accepted. In the Blue Kitchen, with Barrett finally delivering a clear handwritten ticket, the first order of scallops got rejected for being overcooked. Chef Ramsay became furious and berated Raymond Alongi for his mistake. However, the red team soon started to have trouble with communication. Susan Heaton, without communicating with anyone, sent her risotto to the pass. Then Amanda Giblin sent scallops that were raw, however her refire was accepted. In the meantime, the blue team moved on to the entrees but were left in shambles when Dan Ryan and Alongi started arguing. This ticked off Chef Ramsay.
Blue team, I know what you two are doing down there.
Fun.
How long?
We're coming to the pass.
Let's go then.
Soon after, Raymond walked up to the pass with the wrong fish, and this led to Chef Ramsay chewing him out.
He doesn't even know. Oh my God.
Despite the lapse in time, both kitchens were overwhelmed with their orders and both teams' diners were left hungry. In the Red Kitchen, the gap in communication continued between Amanda and Susan, and this led to Susan sending out an undercooked risotto. Chef Ramsay was already furious with the red team, but Jessica managed to make things even worse. When Chef Ramsay called her back to the kitchen to tell the team about the long wait, Jessica just started to smirk instead of hurrying the hell up. And this made a really infuriated Chef Ramsay do this.
All of you, stop. Come here. All of you. You think this is a joke?
No, Chef, I don't.
We're dying.
The blue team was in a hurry to dish out orders, and in the midst of it, an overcooked halibut was sent to the pass. And this time, it was Dan and Raymond at the receiving end of Chef Ramsay's fury.
Dan, Raymond, you made me wait.
Yes, Chef.
And then I wait, and then I wait, and then you me.
It looks like all the hurrying was causing immense confusion with not only the communication, but also the cooking times. The Red Kitchen kept sending out orders that were either raw or overcooked. While the teams were trying very hard to get their act together, the wait time for the food was growing unbearably long. At one point, Chef Ramsay was so disappointed that he made Nedra Harris apologize to one of the tables. Back in the Blue Kitchen, Raymond was working on his third attempt of the same order of halibut. While the pork and the Wellingtons were cooked perfectly, the halibut came out raw yet again. And that was the last straw for Ramsay. He kicked the blue team out of the kitchen. Meanwhile, Chef Ramsay warned the red team of the same consequences should they make another careless mistake. But it looks like the entire service was just jinxed. Absolutely nothing seemed to be going as planned. Soon after, when Mary Ponelt's pork turned out raw, Chef Ramsay did this.
You. Get out! Disaster!
After the disastrous night with both teams being kicked out, Chef Ramsay did something he never did before. Mary and Nedra from the red team and Dan and Raymond from the blue team were nominated for elimination. Chef Ramsay made all 4 contestants take their jackets off, but he didn't eliminate them. Instead, he put all 4 of them on probation. They would now have to earn their jackets back by the end of the next service. If not, that would be the end of their journey on the show. But what I appreciate the most about Chef Ramsay is that he values every person's role during the dinner service. Asking the chefs to step in as waiters or as sous chefs is a testimony to this. But has there ever been a time when Chef Ramsay has blown up on a waiter or maybe even Jean-Philippe? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, guys!